And here we are. We're live with the VUCA Fit podcast. Kevin Oldham here, Jose Bolaños. We're super excited to visit with you because this could be a little bit more of a personal type of conversation today. Jose and I were talking before we hit record, and I felt like with us changing the name of this podcast from Hole in the Soul to VUCA Fit, that I wanted to share my testimony again as to why the hell this show is happening, because the reason this show is happening is because of Jose and my interactions with Jose. The whole reason that VUCA Fit exists and Unbreakable, his cornerstone program, exists is because of him. It's not because of me. So if you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. I'm the student who got fired when Jose and I became business partners in VUCA Fit. And the reason this company exists is because really of my transformation as a human being and all the benefit I received by being one of Jose's students. And so it's going to be a little bit different. Jose's going to actually kind of lead this. He's going to kind of interview me, if that's cool.
But I want to say I'm a student too. I don't feel completely 100% comfortable saying that I'm like the teacher or I'm a student too.
No, you're quite apart. I ran into my martial arts school owner today with my son earlier. He's part of the transformation as well, right? A lot of things played into it, but man, give credit where credit's due. You hit me at the right time in life where I was looking to make some changes, and you gave me some tools that would help me with that. And here we are a couple of years later with a business and a brand. And so I want to talk about that. I want to be the testimony to share with others about what this VUCA Fit life can offer, around why the hell we exist and are trying to help others. Because like you like to say, it's the people that you help and that we can help actually are not our customers. It's the people that they surround themselves with. It's their community. It's their family. That's who we're really benefiting. That's who we're showing up for.
Yeah, you're not my client. My clients are the ones around. Your loved ones are my clients. That's what I always tell my clients.
Absolutely.
You're not my client.
Yeah, it's true, 100%.
Yeah, so where would you like to start?
I'm going to start with the shirt.
The shirt.
You know, I've got the English version on today. It says Unbreakable. Can you pronounce it in Spanish for me? Because I'm still working on it.
Inquebrantable.
I can't roll my R's. But yeah, that's what people see on our Instagram. That's what people see on our social media. Is they see groups of people that you're leading and they are earning the opportunity to wear this shirt because they've done something hard, but they just really did the primer on it. They just did like a, pardon my pun, but an icebreaker type of course, an introductory level. Whereas I had the benefit of studying with you and you guiding me through this process for about 2 years, actually 2 full years. And that's
how long we worked, 2 full years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that crazy? Almost, not to the day, but almost to the month. 2 years.
Awesome. Wow. Okay, so you said starting with the shirt. What do you mean by starting with the shirt, though?
So the shirt that people earn is just symbolic of the work they've done. And I think that, the human condition is one, if we go back to our lizard brain and stuff, is that we want to be lazy. Like, I think most people at their core want to expend as little energy as possible and be lazy. So we're not necessarily left on our devices set up to do hard stuff without some sort of external variable or some sort of accountability variable that's going to help them.
Yeah.
And the shirt reminds me of that. Like, the shirt's why we're here. The shirt, when I put it on, I'm like, man, I feel strong because I've done the work. And so I want to talk about the work. I want to talk about the work that you push people into doing that helps them become VUCA Fit. And we can use me as that example.
Yeah. So the shirt, it's a symbol of having completed our flagship program. You go into Unbreakable and you learn the basic principles. And then, you don't even have to get, I know you believe that you have to get in the ice to get the shirt. I believe you just have to, you're a little more rigorous with that, right? You have to get in the ice to get the shirt. I say you got to go through the program. You got to go through the program, sit through it. I can't force anybody to get into the ice, and I can't withhold a shirt from anybody either. I can't finish a workshop and give half the people shirts and the failures. No, they all get a participation trophy. They all get
participation shirt.
Yeah,
you get a shirt. You get a shirt.
Everybody gets a
now
shirt.
You're sucking the wind out of it. Now the shirt's worthless to me. It's a wheel rag. I'm going to clean my wheels with it now on my car.
You have to have gone through the workshop. You have to go through the program. But taking on the hard stuff, I mean, that's a choice, right? You can't really force anybody to. And the basic premise is you got to train like a warrior or an athlete. You have to train like a warrior or an athlete. The more we train, I had a cohort with this group of roofers where they went through the basic principles of Unbreakable online. They went through the theory of Unbreakable. And at the end, when we were talking about the takeaways, one of them said, the big question is do I want to be a business owner and a roofer that actually takes on these practices, that actually is doing ice baths, is doing breath work, is doing meditation, the big question for me is, am I committed to incorporating these things into my life?
Right.
And it seemed like he wasn't ready to incorporate these things into his life. But if he knew the value, like what these practices, how they expand our highest self. Like I was talking about, I'm going through a new coaching program I shared with you, and they were talking about my purpose, and then I wrapped it up saying my purpose is to help others lead from their highest self. So how do, going back to you and your experiences, the work that we did so that Kevin could lead from his highest self. And that highest self is elusive. It comes and goes. And so we need practice, we need training, we need discipline, we need certain things to actually stay grounded and centered in that highest self. So I want to bring it back to you and say, what does that mean for you to lead from your highest self? For Kevin to lead from his highest self, what does that mean for you?
For me, it means that, first of all, I'm physically strong and balanced. And I use the word balance because, my sleep has been something I've really been working on, and I'm super proud of. It's like my sleep comes and goes, but right now I'm in a season where it's in pretty good shape. Like I'm doing well with my sleep. So it means that my physical self is harmonious, I guess I would say. It means that my mental self is way less, we talk about the window of tolerance, up and down, right? Not too high highs, not too low lows. It means that my window is also, it's an appropriate range. Let me put it that way, okay? I can't remember the last time I got super depressed and had to just call a day and go lay in bed. Yeah. I was good for that every 6 months for really just a really long time. Yeah. I'm talking probably over a decade. And then I look at my spiritual aspect, which I think is super, super important to this. I've never been closer to my God and my faith than I am right now. Yeah. And I think what I've learned, Jose, is that all three of those things, the straight, what's happening physiologically with my body, all those things intertwined, and then what's happening upstairs in my head. Am I cuckoo? Am I too happy? Am I too sad? Or am I just kind of, able to manage the high highs and low lows? And the spiritual aspect. And when all three of those are in some sort of harmony, and I keep using the word harmony, and I'm going to give a shout out, and a shout out. It's a terrible freaking word for somebody who's deceased. I'm going to give credit and love to Dr. Simmons. Used to be a client of mine, and also used to be my physician, and unfortunately he passed away of COVID. But he used to always use the word harmony when we talked about the body. And it's coming through right now. So Dr. Simmons, love you, miss you, great dude. Very unusual guy who I really, really gelled with. But he's talking about this word harmony a lot. And when all three of those things are in harmony, I feel VUCA Fit. I feel unbreakable. I feel like I can bring the best to to the people that I need to show up for. Not 100% of the time. And we're going to talk about how I got VUCA fucked this week on vacation. But way more time than not. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Way more in harmony than not.
But I remember when your sleep was off and all the work that you've done to get your sleep right. I mean, you've made a lot of progress holding your sleep. And the other thing is, you're saying I built
surgery. I had surgery. I had my nose drilled out, man. I had shots in the back of my neck or back of my throat. Yeah, I've had a lot of work done to try to get my sleep done, my sleep right. And my sleep also, you talk about the benefit. Yeah, it benefits me big time. You know who it really benefits? My wife.
Yeah.
Because I'm not snoring, which was part of it. Therefore, our relationship is stronger. Guess what happens when your relationship's good at home? Harmony, dude.
Yeah.
Harmony.
And then you talked about building your window of tolerance. You can take more on without breaking. You can take more on without checking out. You've been through difficult. I've seen you go through difficult circumstances, through uncertain circumstances, and and be okay with it. And that was very different when we first started working. But you were dealing with some significant stuff and not going too low, not going too high, and just being able to deal with it. So I think that's fascinating also.
It's actually really fun to think back to, dude, because I remember we were talking about our containers of uncertainty. So, for example, whether or not I was going to come to Nicaragua in December, because of my knee surgery. Boy, that was crazy. I think I was actually going to be able to show up.
Yeah.
But there was like this big container of uncertainty. And I remember saying, I'm oddly comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm oddly comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would say I just want to say that's a very significant takeaway with a lot of my clients is their ability to be oddly comfortable with the uncomfortable, where before they couldn't be that comfortable with it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that honestly, man, like that between that and the window of tolerance and being not too high and not too low, I think those two things have been some of the biggest results of the work. And furthermore, the biggest gifts that I have not only for myself, but also for the people I love and surround myself with.
Yeah. But this connection with God is also very significant. Like you're saying, I'm more connected to God. I'm more connected to my higher power.
Yeah.
So there's something here.
It's been awesome.
Yeah. There's definitely something here. It's like part of this work, part of this VUCA Fit method and this work that we engage in, has gotten my sleep better, has helped me expand my window of tolerance, has deepened my spiritual connection. And I can't say this for everybody that I've worked with, but these are some of the outcomes that you've expanded on, that you've built on as a result of this work. And
I've leaned into the work too. I've leaned into it like heavily. It's just like, I'm so proud of my wife. She leans into her everything that she does, whether like right now she's really leaned into yoga. She's always leaned into running. She's the most disciplined exercise person that I've ever met. Every day, 6 miles, she's going to run it. Come hell or high water, unless she's in the hospital, right? It's that leaning into this work like my wife does. And she's a big motivator for me because I see how committed she is to the things that she does. I was like, all right, these things are super, super serious. And I need to be committed to them. I need to lean into them. I can't just like take Jose's, teachings and then put them off on the shelf. You see that I'm always like taking pictures of texts and books and things like that I'm continuing to forever invest in myself.
Yeah.
Invest in myself.
We also engage with books like Perseverance by Margaret Wheatley. That's an interesting book. It's not a business book. It's a book on life.
Oh.
And you're also doing the ice baths. You're engaged with a lot of this work. You've gone through the different cohorts. So I think it really has like you've really started owning the principles. And it's not,
Yeah.
and it's everybody. I believe that by understanding these principles, each person can grab what works for them. You can design your own training program. You can make it inside your own spiritual practice. It's not like you can be Buddhist or Christian or whatever type of Catholic or spirituality you have. You can incorporate these things into your day to day. I just had a realization this morning, and I'm really glad, Kevin, that I'm taking this program that I'm in, because it's making me go through the basics. And one of the key things that he talked about was very simple. It's a stupid thing. He calls it your CEO schedule, right? But he used the concept, the bookends of your day, which is the beginning and the end, the morning and the afternoon. And I've had morning rituals and morning routines, but I have definitely slacked off on the structure and all this. But recently, just by hearing that concept, I had a good bookend. I had a good beginning to my day. And it wasn't completely off. What I learned is it's not that off. I just need to hone a little bit, make it more intentional. But I believe, this is what I came up for me recently, is that all these practices, especially my morning routine, my morning ritual, the only goal of my morning ritual should be to reconnect me to my higher power. That's bottom line. That's my morning ritual. Isn't to check off fitness or to do breath work or to meditate or to, do some, it's to reconnect with God and reconnect to that source. And that can be sitting on my couch, reflecting, breathing slowly. It doesn't have to be, I don't have to journal. You really don't have to do anything. You just sit there and look over and say, hey, what's up, God? Here we go again.
Yeah.
What you got today?
Yeah.
Like, how do I make sure I'm connected with you? How do I make sure, I drink my coffee here and just be with God? Just make sure. And all these disciplines, I believe, all these practices need to bring us back to our center. They need to bring us back to our core, to our center, to whether it's an ice bath or a breath work or whatever it is, it's just to bring you back to a grounded center, reconnected with yourself, with that higher power, and re-engage. And I think that's the power of leading with presence in this very chaotic world. I think the whole VUCA Fit method is to expand your ability to be present. It is, I don't know, it's a very powerful method to just be grounded, centered, stable. And it has physiological, mental, biological, spiritual impact. I mean, it does expand on all those things.
Yeah, and what's kind of funny is, I think everybody compares themselves to others, right? But if I look at, I'm going to look at 3 different types of people, and I'm going to compare them to the VUCA Fit methodology. So I'm going to look at somebody who's a super athlete, okay? Somebody who is super fit, athletic as hell. They have no sense of spirituality. Maybe there's like a agnostic, whatever, and they also don't have like the mental game, okay? But they're very gifted physically. Are they going to be a top athlete? Probably not, because they don't have the mental game, right? They've got the head trash, because we know that impacts physical performance. So you can be like the most gifted person physically, but not have some of these other things, and you can probably fall short of whatever it is you're aspiring to do, okay? Then you look at somebody who's super spiritual, but they don't have the physical game, so they're not honoring God in the body that was provided to them, right? The best that they can. And they maybe don't have, so they've got the spiritual aspect, but they don't have the mental aspect. So maybe they're just a negative person. They believe in God and all these things or whatever, but they're negative and they're out of shape, okay? So they're going to be kind of maybe unbalanced. Then you look at somebody who's got the, but they don't believe in anything bigger than themselves, and they're just like way out of shape, right? So they're always busting, they're breaking because of that. It's like, man, you really do need like a getting back to Dr. Simmons' word of the day, harmony, to have this stuff actually make a dent in your life. You can get some great gains doing these other things. There's nothing wrong with it, but an all-encompassed approach. It's kind of like marketing, man. It's just like my marketing company. It's why we're transforming our marketing company to something that's more than marketing. It's like, oh, I can come in and I can help you with this little thing, but it's going to have these, it's not going to be what's best for you. You actually need a little bit more comprehensive approach if you really want to fix your circumstances, you know? And I feel like that's what VUCA Fit really is. It's this overarching approach to life that really anybody can do. You just got to want to do it. You don't have to be a super athlete. You don't have to be any of these things. I'm just a normal dude, you know?
And they are practices that keep on giving. So they help you tap into the source of, what my mentors would call pragmatic wisdom. Mm-hmm. So there's things that, here's a few things that I've realized when teaching what I teach. It's one is people come back and say, I've seen bits and pieces of this all over the place, and somehow you've tied it all together in a way that makes sense. Like, I get it now. The meditation, the breath work, the body practices, I get it. These ice baths and all these practices that we're doing, like, it's I've simplified for myself, and that's what I'm sharing with people. It's like, this is how I come to understand this. This is what I'm sharing with you. And a lot of people, even people who have practiced for many years, go to this, hear it, and it totally shifts how they understood what they were doing. Like, it will change completely, and it'll make more sense to them.
Yeah.
So one is, I get it now. And the other is, I always tell people, okay, I can teach you the practices, but what the practices can teach you, I can't teach you. What does that mean? It means that, let's take a practice like an ice bath. It's like every time I do an ice bath, I learn something else about myself. Every time I do some breath work, I learn more about myself. Every time I do a certain meditation, I learn more about something else is revealed to me through the practices. There are infinite sources of insight and realizations. Like, and these realizations will completely change how you're living life. Like, they will
compound.
Sorry?
They compound. It's like they snowball. It's like a snowball going down a hill. Like, the more momentum you get, the more that, they just stack on top of each other. That's what's kind of cool about it. It reminds me of my martial arts journey, or frankly, any other journey you're in. Yeah. Let's just call it that. Whether it's education journey or whatever, it's like everything stacks on top of each other, and just like compound interest, like literally there's a tipping point. Because at the beginning you feel like, at the beginning of my journey, I'm like, well, dude, you and I put all this stuff down on my personal development plan, and boy, when I look at it, I kind of feel like shit about myself in some of the areas where, things I need to stop doing or things I need to start doing. I'm like, man, this is basically a list of things that are broken about me, that you've guided me to identify. Like, I keep thinking about podium, martial arts or anything. If I wasn't in first or second or third, then I sucked. That was my narrative. Hey, Kevin, if you're not winning, you suck. And I'm like, no, the reality is I still won because I showed up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you won
because I tried. No, I did. I won because I won against the Kevin that didn't show up previously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it doesn't define you. It doesn't, winning and losing doesn't define you. But I'm reading a book right now. It's called the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita. Very fascinating book. It is a mouthful.
What is that? What is it? What I've heard that book, but I don't know jack about it. Like, tell me what it is. What's the premise here?
It's like a popular poem in Hindu. It's like the popular poem in Hindu, and it's been studied so deeply and so rigorously, and it can reveal like the meaning of life. I mean, it's such a powerful poem, and scripture. It has everything in it, but it has some very powerful things that resonate deeply with me. Like when I started reading, my friend of mine gave it to me, and I hadn't read it. But for example, it talks about when you see failure and success as equals, is when you're going to be, at peace. When failure and success become equals. And it just has a lot of the, wisdom that I live by. It talks about having a stable mind. It talks about action without attachment. So it's not about not doing anything. It's about doing what you need to do, but being unattached to the results. So it's a completely different mindset. It's about doing the work without expecting anything from the work. It's about failure and success being equals. It's got a lot of really deep nuggets in there. And I think, for you wanting to be on podium, wanting to be, that was harsh and that's taught in your culture, in many cultures. But if you're not winning, you're losing. If you're not a winner, you're a loser. And it's really hard on losers in this hustle culture, and it really sets you up for suffering. And it's not true. It's not true. And so your identity is unattached now to podium. That's what I see. It's like my identity isn't attached to the podium anymore. It goes beyond that. So, so again, it's something that I've simplified, and people say I get it now. Second, it's like if you're engaged with these practices, they'll keep on giving back to you. You will keep on tapping into your wisdom, and you need this to navigate a VUCA world, or else you're going to get lost and VUCA fucked. And these practices are ways to come back to that stable center, whether it's a stressful practice or a non-stressful practice. And they keep on connecting you to your highest self and expanding on your highest self. And that's something you need to come back to all the time. You said it's a snowball, right? It compounds, but it's also, if you don't train, if you don't practice, it's something that dissipates also and you lose.
True.
You need to coming back to it. Yeah.
Can we talk about how I got VUCA effed over the trip? All right. So something about me in Colorado and skate parks and bicycles did not work. So we just got back from Colorado, like literally midnight last night. And we took our skateboard. I took my skateboard. My kids took their scooters. And my wife didn't bring anything but her helmet. But we did have a very active vacation. And we went and revisited a bunch of the skate parks that Landon, my son, and I went to 2 years ago for his 10-year bucket list trip. So we already knew these skate parks. It was awesome. And we were at one of the skate parks in Frisco, Colorado. It's one of our favorite skate parks. It's one of our favorite places on the planet is Frisco. It's a really quaint town. And there was this guy. He was an amazing skater there. And when I say guy, he was 40 years old. I heard him say that he was 40, so I know he was 40 years old. Now, keep in mind, Frisco, nobody lives in Frisco. It's a tourist town. That's their primary industry is tourism. Very few people actually live in Frisco. Locals can't afford to live there. Like hardly anybody lives there. So take that data point. So you got this 40-year-old guy who just moved there a year ago. So he considers himself a local. He is shredding the skate park. He's awesome. But he's taken up the entire park to do his tricks. And meanwhile, you've got a lot of people that are not locals there. You've got my two children, 10 and 12, on their scooters. There is a BMX track next to it. And 100% of the time, there are bicycles in the skate park. And the skate park does not say that bicycles or scooters or anything is prohibited. It's open to all. And collisions almost happen in skate parks all the time. You have to watch your line. It's probably something very similar to surfing where somebody will snake you. A skate park is no different. You have to look around. You have to be aware of the lines that people are taking when they're doing their tricks. And people are typically, unlike waves where, no two waves are alike, in skate parks, nothing changes. So your lines don't change. If you're trying to do a complex trick off of multiple things, then people start to notice your pattern, right? So this gentleman was doing his five, tricks everywhere. I was watching him. I was enjoying watching him. I did notice he was kind of hogging the park. And then there was this little kid on this bicycle. And this little kid was probably 6 or 7 years old. And got in his way. The little kid's dad, I happen to be sitting, off to the side, watching, which I love doing at skate parks because I'm not capable of doing as many tricks as I used to. And so I love watching. And I've been going to skate parks, I'm now 40 years in, 4 decades of skate culture, okay? Like, there's probably not a ton more people on the planet more in tune with skate culture than yours truly. And this guy went over to the dad and said, there's a whole bike park over there. And he was a real jerk about it. And they started butting heads. They started getting into it, right? And it wasn't de-escalating because the other guy was a local as well. And I just sit here to watch it. And the guy who was the 40-year-old skater, he goes off and he takes the skateboard. And I'm thinking he's going to leave. I'm like, all right, this is cool. Then he comes back for more. And I snapped. I go, dude, you're out of line. You're a dick. You just destroyed the dreams of that little 7-year-old kid. He's going to remember this the rest of his life when somebody was mean to him at the skate park. I'm like, every single kid and adult here right now was that kid. You fucked up. And I went off on this guy. And he's coming back at me. He's right in my face at this point. And I'm like, in my head, I've got my training ready from a martial arts perspective in case he does something, de-escalate or whatever. But in the meantime, I'm letting this guy know that he's a dick. And I'm like, you owe that dad, and particularly that kid, a huge fucking apology. And he went over and he apologized. And then he kept going. And I was like, the way I conducted myself, I could have been a little bit, I thought, my God, dude named Jesus. And I'm like, would Jesus have acted that way? Hell no, he wouldn't have, right? And I felt myself getting, it's like, man, I could have approached it differently. I definitely felt like I lost my stuff. But it was also one of those cases where I felt like there was a wrong. And I felt like I was in a position to help it be corrected to a certain degree. But I also felt like I VUCA fucked myself. So sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get hot. A bicyclist almost hit me. And I yelled F off to him, right? And I was like, well, was that really the best response? I don't know.
Well, Jesus flipped over a bunch of tables outside of a...
True. You can lose your patience with people, right?
Yeah, he threw a bunch of tables and flipped over a bunch of stuff and yelled at people and lost it. Jesus got VUCA fucked, bro. I'm sorry.
Here's the difference. And here's where I think we can put a punctuation mark on this conversation and what the net benefit is to training for life. Because I think when we say train for life, you and I understand, people that have followed you for a while understand. But if you're outside looking in, if I'm the florist across the street right now, like, what do you mean train for life? I'm living life. What do you mean train? Like, I woke up today, I'm doing life. I don't need to train for shit. I wake up, I get dressed, I brush my teeth, I go to work, or whatever, right? Here's where I think the value is, and this is also one of the taglines you've played with, and this is where I think the training kicks in. The awareness that you could have conducted yourself differently and reflecting back on what you would do the next time is really where I think the benefit is. Because it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be, or maybe not lose it with my children sometimes. It doesn't mean I'm going to go through the world perfect. Hell no. Nobody does. But what I think it means is the awareness when you mess up and you self-correct. And that's where I think that being VUCA Fit, you took a picture of a tree that bent. And like, you bend but won't break. This tree will not break. All these other trees around this forest were just broken. This one was just bent. I went back and took another picture of it. I'm like, it's just bent. You can bend. You can have splinters coming out. You don't want to break. Because when you break, that means you're in the ditch. It means that things aren't going well. Maybe you blew up and to a point where you couldn't fix it. Something like that.
But
and that's where
like
I think the huge benefit is.
It sounds like you did all right. I mean, you didn't You didn't punch him. You didn't break his skateboard. You didn't push him.
Yeah. And I was even ready. This was early in our trip, and it's his home park, right? I was ready for future conversations with him, good, bad, or indifferent. I was going to let him drive, or else I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to skate and hang out, right? So I'd already thought ahead too, My son was even funny when we were there yesterday or day before. He's like, "Hey, I think your buddy's here, Dad." I'm like, well, if he is, he is. It's all good, dude. If he's here, he's here. If he wants to have a conversation, then cool.
Let me tell you this story quickly. I'm at the grocery store in the grocery line. We're a bit in a hurry, and the person in front of us has a lot of groceries. She goes through all her groceries, but then she's looking at her receipt, and it seems like something was charged that didn't buy it. And to uncharge it and get it out, you gotta it's an ordeal. You gotta bring in the supervisor.
Right.
And I'm like, I told my son, "Oh shit, we're screwed, and we can't back out because a bunch of people behind me. I'm already. It's like traffic, it's like grocery store traffic. I can't back out and look for another place. This is going to take a long time." And I start calling my son. My son turns around and he puts his hand on my chest, and he's like, "This is why we meditate." Yeah, like that. That's what he said. Took a deep breath, a sigh out, and I'm like, touche.
Touche. You've done your job too, man, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap. Like that right there. By the way, I'm proud of your son for his boxing. I've been seeing. It's cool, man. Yeah. Hello. You're helping him be a warrior.
Boxing, ice baths, meditation.
Oh, yeah.
He still gets terrible grades, though, but we're good.
It's all right. Figure out something else. Maybe get a soccer scholarship, right?
Oh, soccer. He's been playing soccer.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you, first of all, for being my mentor and training me and helping guide me for 2 years. And second of all, for today's episode, because it's rewarding to be able to share my testimony with others, much like with alcoholism or anything else, right? When you come from a state of maybe not your best self to improvement, and sharing that with others can give people hope. But moreover, just thanks. I appreciate you. I love you. VUCAFit.com. Go there, get free shit. Have a great day. Until next week, I'm Kevin.
Stay present.
The handsome guy there, that's Jose.